Minister trying to achieve with his announcement this morning?
Well, he's obviously trying to blackmail or persuade the crossbenchers to pass the ABCC. They have a choice now. They either pass the ABC legislation or they face a double dissolution election.
Did the Prime Minister call you this morning, and what did he happen to have to say during that call?
Yeah, the Prime Minister rang me this morning and asked me two things. One, for my support for the ABCC legislation, and I voted for it last time. I'll certainly vote for it this time. I've always voted on legislation on its merits. I come from the building industry. I know how important it is. But secondly, he asked me if I would help with the to maybe get some of the other crossbenchers on board. And given the events of last week, and we know what happened last week, the Liberals and the Greens and Nick Xenophon rammed through legislation to make it much harder for minor parties and independents to be elected to the Senate.
You're suggesting the Prime Minister's made his task much harder by that?
I would have thought so. Last year when the ABCC was put up, it was perilously close. It got within one vote. And if they'd been a little bit more patient, they would have got that last vote over the line. Given the events of last week and the almost complete breakdown in relationship between the government and the crossbench, I would doubt now whether it would go through. But that'll be for my crossbench colleagues to decide.
So you're not detecting any softening from the crossbench in just self-preservation, that you either go one way or you go the other, and for some it'll be a lose-lose situation?
Well, the events of last week actually I would have strengthened the resolve of the crossbench, given that the major parties received 75% of the votes, but they're now trying to get 100% of the seats. That's not democratic. The 3 million voters who voted for minor parties and independents at the last election may not take too kindly to what happened last week, and it could actually help the minor parties and crossbenchers. It could strengthen their vote, and the double dissolution might bring them all back, if not more.
Do you think deep down that's what the Prime Minister actually wants? He wants this to be blocked and to go to a double dissolution election?
It could well be. He obviously wants the ABCC to go through. There's no doubt about that, along with the registered organisations. And these are good policies. They should go through. They're really important. But the tactics of the double dissolution could well backfire. We could see even more crossbenchers. The Greens may suffer as a result of this. So some of these things have a habit of backfiring when you get these unintended consequences.
Well, do you think these policies merit double dissolution?
Yes, I do. There is provision within the Constitution that if legislation is blocked twice, then the government is entirely within its right to recall Parliament, have an election, a double dissolution election, and then, importantly, following that double dissolution election, to have a joint sitting of both houses, and then presumably would then have the numbers to pass legislation that had been blocked. But of course this is all assuming that the government wins the next election, and of course there's no guarantee of that.
What are your chances of that, Dave?
Well, I would have thought in double dissolution my chances would be reasonably good. Our Family First State colleagues consistently draw around about 5% in primary vote and sufficient preferences to get elected in the upper house in South Australia. If my vote was similar, I received about nearly 4% last time. If I got about the same this time, I'm in with a good chance to be returned.